Well, poems and songs most start as stories, from those told time and again about how things are and how they were and how they ought to have been. Stories told and reminisce for laughter and for fun, to remember a fallen comrade or an outlaw on the run. About horses, dogs, and bosses, ranches, towns, and the like. About folks that could easily get along, and those that would just as soon fight. Well, those stories just kept going. And the big difference between telling a story and telling a poem or singing a song is just one more step in the evolution. Stories can only be told so many times and people get tired of hearing them. You put rhyme and meter to them, folks tended to want to listen to them again.
The view is vast from the middle rim. Dismounted, he gazes across the land. The same land more than a century before. In settling, his family had taken a hand. Weather's dry and a cloudless sky, summer will be hot, he can tell. But the gathering along with springtime chores has really gone quite well.
I'm Mike Dunn, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about cowboy poetry. And I appreciate that opportunity. I enjoy listening to it. I enjoy telling it. So cowboy poetry was a true art form that was formed on the open range by folks that had no idea that's what they were doing. And the movement today is to try to get that art form back in front of the people for no more than entertainment and appreciation. It's a form of education that we do to educate folks how this art form came about. And cowboy poetry is probably one of the only art forms that was truly born out of the West and is still with us today and trying to hang on.
3 mama cows and earmarked calves grazed upon the offside bridge. A quarter-mile on, a doe and fawn are near its upper edge. Sister's mare and her new foal he watches down below, along with Dan, his old retired horse. Oh, it was hard to let him go.
My experience on the ranch was on my granddad's place. Some of my first family settled Arizona, the southeastern part. They weren't the big cattle barons that you'd find out in Texas, but they eked out a living in the cattle ranching. So I work for a living, but we still have horses, we still raise horses, we still train horses. And we use them both in the arena and on the ranch. And that's as close as the cowboys I can get nowadays. And yes, I could say I've set a saddle, played cowboy for real, and I cherish those thoughts.
The rim's edge is a rugged ride, checking for the last of the strays. But the trail is so once started down, they'll pretty much find their own way. And it's no chore, it's a welcome ride, one he's done time and again. When first he rode along that ridge, he had not yet reached 10.
It's often been asked, do you have to be a cowboy to be a cowboy poet? Well, no, but it sure does help. You might ask, how can you tell the difference? Well, a cowboy will always know. It's pretty tough putting anything by them. It's not just in the words, but how the words are used, the feeling behind them. It just comes out. I'm not the greatest cowboy in the world, but I have sat a horse, I have pushed a cow, I have done it when I didn't want to, and I have done it when I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you haven't gone through that experience, then you probably don't know the real feelings behind being a cowboy, and then it might be a little tough putting those things into words. But I tend to lean towards the more serious, sad, heartfelt side of not only the cowboy, but the cowboy family. And I know there's cowboys out there that feel it a lot stronger than I do, but I got a feeling I got a handle on it.
The age his kids are now far beyond. which gives him cause to pause, in awe of how life's played out and how it continues on. Both up and down his eyes are filled with that of earth and heaven, with wonders of life. More often than not, only passing thoughts are given.
I would hope that folks that might get an opportunity to hear a few of the words that I say might take an opportunity to get familiar with cowboy poetry, because it's not only the poems. It's not just a rhyme. It's also a story. In fact, the story to most cowboys is more important than the poem. In fact, it's more important than the song if it's put in a song form. It's the story. And I would hope that they'd take an opportunity to find out there is a native art form that came about out of necessity right here in the United States, as much as any of the other art forms that came about. And it's the type of art form that anybody can enjoy. Anybody. You can read it, you can listen to it, you can share it with one another, you can laugh about it, you can cry about it. Pretty much the Cowboys got it all.
His horse stands quiet as stars appear. The cowboy lingers longer, immersed in thought of past and present. It's the cowboy's time to ponder. Ah, he's got to go, he tells himself, but suspended, gazing through time's eye. His delay continues, even though the ranch is still a 2-hour ride.
Cowboy poetry is cowboy poetry. It's titled that. The old poems that came from the travels across the West, those drovers and those cowboys and those cattle pushers, it's history. It's part of history. You're not going to change it. And there are some great old poems. And if most folks have an opportunity and an open mind, they'll come to enjoy them as well.
With sounds of night, the skyline's lit. The city's glow has set upon, breaking the dark above the ranch some 30 miles beyond. In the valley there's a single distant light from the ranch house his granddad built. Humbled, knowing family's there, far safer than his forebears could have felt.
A couple years back, I did put a group of poems together and published it under the title Somewhere Between Heaven and Earth. The Academy of Western Artists gave it the Will Rogers Award. I was proud of that, still am. The last poem in the book is called Spellbound. It's about a cowboy that spent his life on the same ranch that his granddad helped settle. And he's on a trail that he's been on many times before all through his life, and finally it hits him how blessed he is. That's where the title of the book comes from, Somewhere Between Earth and Heaven. And that was his thoughts. At the end of the poem, it spells out how blessed he felt he was by having this opportunity to push cattle and work with nature all his life. Somewhere between earth and heaven.
Thoughts are deepened, petition laid, as if in prayer he asked to tell why life with all its blessings has cared for him so well. Time holds fast the past and present, and for the cowboy a glimpse is given, the wonders of life that leaves him spellbound on a rim somewhere between earth and heaven.